Do you guys remember when you had the most fun in your life? I bet some of you watching this video will say that, probably it's your high school days, having fun with your friends during co-curriculums. And for people that in their 20s, you guys will think about your college time. You're having fun with your friends, going to bars. Uni is the best time ever in my 20s. I remember going to clubs was a huge thing for me when I was in Manchester. I studied in UK. And also going to someone else's houses to have pre-drink before we go to clubs, And after clubs, we all will walk back to our accommodation, In America, since the drinking age is 21 years old in most states, I know that college students don't have much fun as other students in worldwide. This leaving them to get creative in how they have their fun. But unfortunately, this sometimes can lead to tragedies. There's a sports bar in Bloomington called Kilroy Sports Bar. It looks like a normal bar in town. I bet students sometimes will hang out around here. But for locals, this bar holds a dark, bad memories for them. Lauren Spierer, a 20 years old Indiana University student in Bloomington, Indiana, disappeared after hanging out with her friends in this bar. Lauren was a junior student in University of Indiana. She studied apparel, merchandising, and business. She was born in Scarsdale, New York, and she graduated from Edgemont High School in 2009. According to her friends, she was a really active college student, a very active person, a really outgoing individual. And Lauren has a heart condition known as long QT. She takes medication for this. Long QT is basically a disorder of heart's electrical activity, which will cause a person's heart to develop an irregular, potential fatal rhythm. Alright, now let's talk about her disappearance. At the time she disappeared, she's actually dating a man called Jesse Wolf. On the night she disappeared, she was with three of her friends, Jay Rosenbaum, David Rowan, and Corey Roseman, and she went out without her boyfriend. Lauren was having a pre-drink before they went to Kilroy Sports Bar with David and Corey, and they both have a pre-drinks at Corey's place. And around 2 a.m. they decide to leave Corey's house to the bar, which is just a 9-minute walk from Corey's place. And when they reach the bar, they only stay in the bar for approximately 30 minutes. And around 2:30, Lauren and Corey, just both of them, left the bar and decided to walk back to Lauren's small apartment, where she was seen by her neighbors. The neighbor actually described Lauren was completely out and stumbling, and the neighbors particularly didn't like the way Corey was handling Lauren, and they asked whether Lauren is okay. And at this point, I think everyone is pretty drunk, so Corey actually made a statement to the neighbors, which result Corey getting punched in the face by the neighbors. I think he said some really bad things about, towards the neighbors. And at about 3 a.m., they were seen to head back to Corey's apartment through an alleyway which is just about a few blocks away, and Laurie was seen to be very, very drunk, and she even dropped her keys and purse, which were later found in this alleyway. So they went back to Corey's apartment, and according to Corey's roommate Michael, Lauren started to puke everywhere on the carpet. Basically, Lauren was completely out. She was highly intoxicated. At this point, Corey leaves Lauren to his roommate Michael, and Corey went to sleep. And the roommate Michael actually tries to persuade Lauren to stay in their apartment just to sleep off the drunkenness. But Laurie insists that she wants to go back to her apartment. The roommate Michael then decides to take Lauren to his neighbor, Jay Rosen. Jay Rosen also tries to persuade her to stay in his apartment. However, Lauren also insists on going back as well. After Lauren insists to go back, Lauren then makes 2 phone calls from the neighbor's phone. And according to Jay, those 2 phone calls were made to David, which is one of the friends Lauren went to the sports bar earlier on, and another call to a male friend, but the male friend identity is unknown here. However, both of them didn't pick up her call. And then Lauren left the apartment at 4:30 a.m. Someone said that they saw Lauren at the intersection of 11th Street and College Avenue, and she was seen wearing black leggings, white shirt with bare feet. And this is the last sightings of Lauren. Lauren's boyfriend, Jesse, sent a text message to Lauren the next day, but he received a reply from an employee at a sports bar where Lauren had left her phone there. Jesse thought it was weird because Lauren didn't reply his text messages or didn't reply to his call. After that, Jesse and Lauren's friend went to Lauren's apartment to check on her. However, there's no sign of her in the apartment. Jesse then feels something is not right. He then reports to the police of Lauren's disappearance, and Lauren's parents arrive and the search begins. This case brought nationwide coverage. It's not the local news anymore, it's nationwide, because the girl just disappeared after came out from a bar and then she just disappeared. No one can find her. After Jesse reports to the police then burst into a room in a lobby apartment to get surveillance video, but police couldn't characterize anyone as a suspect at the moment. However, police do have some person of interest for this case. On June 8, after 5 days of disappearance of Lauren, police got a tip and they began a search at Lake Monroe, which is just a 21-minute drive from where Lauren was last seen. A specialized dive team conducted the search using boats and sonar equipment to scan the lake's depth for any signs related to Lauren's disappearance. The search at Lake Monroe was part of the broader effort that included other bodies of water and wooded areas around Bloomington. On the same day, June 8, Indiana Police Court's owner Jim Irsay offered a $10,000 reward for information leading to Lauren's discovery. On June 8, Lauren's mother begged for her daughter's safe return in an emotional television interview. Charlene Spierer said she was convinced her daughter has been taken, and she fight back tears and said, "If you have a shred of decency, you have to come forward." Her voice was trembling with emotion here. She went on said that Lauren is beautiful, wonderful, loyal girl. She will do anything for anyone. That one person who has the answer to this mystery and this puzzle, bring Lauren back. Let us know where she is. Take her to a hospital. Let us have her back. I am pleading with that one person because there's one person there that knows. This is what Charlene Spierer speak on the news. The following day, June 9th, Lauren's parents increased the reward to $100,000, hoping to encourage anyone with information to come forward to them. It has been 6 days after Lauren's disappearance. On June 9th, the Bloomington Police Department announced that they had identified 10 individuals as persons of interest in this case. These individuals were primarily people who had interacted with Lauren on the night that she vanished. Of course, one of them is her boyfriend, Jesse Wolf. Police state that Wolf was cooperative with the investigation, although I find this a bit weird. He declined to take a police-administered polygraph test, and he decided to get a private polygraph test instead. Jesse Wolf claims that he was not with her on that night. According to multiple sources, including statements from Wolf and his roommate, Jesse stayed at his residence that evening, watching NBA Finals. Yeah, search online is true that on June 3rd, 2011, there's an NBA Final between Dallas Mavericks and Miami Heat, which concluded just before midnight. He said that he went to bed around 2:30 a.m. He denies any involvement regarding to Lauren's disappearance. Lauren's friends also came out and say that Jesse, he is not someone that would hurt Lauren. Jesse Wolf also helped with the search the first couple days, but then his parents came and took him away. And one of the investigators thought it was odd. You know, why would you take him away while his girlfriend is still not found yet? Also, Jesse Wolf would not agree to be interviewed on camera by 2020. 2020 is a TV show produced by ABC News, for your information. He said he denied the interview, but said that he has cooperated with police and continues to deny any involvement in Lauren's disappearance. Alright, another key person of interest here was Corey Rossman. He is a friend who was with Lauren earlier that evening, remember? Rossman claimed to have no memory of the events after being punched during the altercation that night. Remember, he got punched by the neighbors? His attorney said that that punch caused temporary memory loss, which hinders his ability to recall the night's event. Seriously, one punch you forget everything? Alright, all the people of interest took polygraph and DNA tests. However, as I said, some of them hire private polygraph tests, such as Jesse Wolf, Jason J. Rosenbaum. However, all of them passed the administered test. Jesse Wolf's parents said, "I don't think they are very adept at anything except giving kids drinking tickets." Nadine Wolf told the paper, "I don't trust them. Period." So basically, Jesse Wolf's parents don't believe in the Bloomington police, so they decide to opt for a private polygraph test. Nadine Wolf also told the news that the reason why Lauren is not here with us today is because of a drug abuse issue. Nadine Wolf also went on to say that if Jesse was guilty of anything, he was guilty of taking care of Lauren, who had some serious drug issues. She also went on and said that Lauren would abuse to the point where she would black out. Jesse always threatened Lauren to call and tell her parents, and Lauren was said, "If you do, I will break up with you. Alright, as for Corey, he told the public after giving his DNA and polygraph test, saying that, I hope they find her as soon as possible, and I'm praying for her and her family. And then reporter went on and asked, do you have anything to do with this? Corey replied immediately, absolutely not. Later on, police also did a checkpoint at 11th Avenue College, the place where she was last seen, and police did end up making contact with 135 cars, and they were asking them for information and also pass out flyers about Lauren's information. However, police said that they didn't get anybody that saw Lauren. On June 14, there was news from the police. The police released new pictures of a truck caught on surveillance camera in the area where she disappeared. This truck is white, 4-door Sherry model and with equipment on the back, and this was caught on the camera. This truck was caught driving around the block right at the same time, same place where Lauren disappeared. Police publicly said that it's either this truck could either have some significant direct responsibility to Lauren's disappearance, or this truck could provide some more information and lead us to a new direction. Later on, they discover who is the truck driver. His name is James McLeish, and he is a convicted felon just released from prison at the time of her disappearance. He has just been paroled for assaulting his ex-wife, and he's living in a halfway house about 10 minutes where she was last seen. However, police immediately dismissed these claims, which is their only lead to this disappearance, as police went on and said that they are satisfied with the information provided to their investigator, but also the video that supports that this white truck has nothing to do with Lauren's disappearance. However, in 2016, a woman from James Pass came out and alleged that James McLeish killed Lauren. She claims he said what happened to her, the same thing might happen to you, and alleged he had killed Lauren and buried her on his farm in southern Indiana. In response to these allegations, McLeish agreed to take a polygraph test to clear his name. The test was administered by Ralph Neves, a veteran polygraph examiner and former NYPD detective. According to Neves, McLeish appears to be truthful in his denials of involvement in Lauren's disappearance. While James was not charged in connection with Lauren's case, the allegation and his proximity to the area where she disappeared have continued to draw public interest, because it makes sense. He was convicted of assaulting his ex-wife, roaming around the place where Lauren was last seen. People are really interested in this. On June 15, around hundreds of volunteers continued to search for Lauren. On June 16, Lauren's parents went on news and talked about Lauren's disappearance. On June 28, after 26 days of Lauren's disappearance, police said that they will scale back their search from daily foot search to lead as they get. 2 months after Lauren disappeared, police made a decision to conduct a 9-day search at Sycamore Ridge Landfill in August 2011. The reason why police decided to search this location is because police believe that Lauren might be disposed at a trash site. All residential and commercial trash from Bloomington, where Lauren disappeared, is first taken to a local transfer station, and from there is transported to Sycamore Ridge Landfill. Investigators believe that if Lauren's body or personal belongings were disposed at the trash bin, it would have followed this route and ended up at the specific Landhill. The search was based on the timing of trash pickups and the assumption that something could have been discarded soon after her disappearance on June 3, 2011. The Bloomington Police Department, the Indiana University of Police Department, and the FBI took part in this wide search. However, after 9 days of search, they came out with nothing. They can't find anything that links with Lauren's disappearance. In 2016, after 5 years of Lauren's disappearance, there were no clues, no new leads about their daughter's disappearance. The parents decided to hire a private investigator, Brad Garrett, a former FBI cold case agent. Garrett stated that he thinks he is one interview away to put the case together. He seems really optimistic about this. Alright, when Garrett started his investigation, he found out that Lauren had been arrested for public intoxication 9 months before her disappearance. And after she disappeared, police found a small amount of cocaine in her room. Let's pause here for a second. It reminds me of something. Remember the people that were at the bar with Lauren that night? None of them was above 21 years old, which is the legal age of drinking in Indiana. That's quite strange, right? Especially since everyone mentioned in their testimonies that they were heavily intoxicated that night. This just proves that there's more to the story than we think. This situation actually raised significant concern about underage drinking enforcement. In September 2011, Kilroy Sports Bar was cited for allowing a minor to loiter and for furnishing alcoholic beverage to a minor. And while the issue surrounding underage drinking was explored, Garrett said that drugs likely played a key role in Lauren's disappearance. Garrett stated that either in her own demise or because it placed her in harm's way because she was so impaired. Garrett actually came out with his few theories, one of them being James driving the white truck that was roaming around the scene. Garrett raises the question, did the driver happen to be driving down the street, saw Lauren at the intersection and immediately pull over? Because that's what he's looking for, and he talked her into the vehicle. Garrett went on to say that could have taken just 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds at that point, he got her and he takes her to wherever he wanted. And remember what we mentioned, that there is a private investigator that requests James to take a polygraph test because of the accusation from a woman of James' past. Garrett is the investigator here. When it came to question about Lauren, McLeish stuck to his denial. He answered his question calmly and clearly. He said that he had nothing to do with Lauren's disappearance. Neves, the detective that administered this test, said that McLeish appeared to be telling the truth. After the test, McLeish said that, "I wish you guys the best luck." "I do." This is what he said after the test. Another theory has to do with Garrett obtaining an online message in regards to one former member in a mafia gang called Sons of Silence. This gang is famous for roaming around the street of Indiana and they are brutal. The former member here is Robert Strange. Strange's relatives claim that Strange shot Lauren in dispute over drugs and money, and then he buried her on his property. Garrett said that Strange doesn't have any criminal record, but he's well known to the authorities. Garrett said that Strange got a reputation for being what they call an enforcer, which means if you have a problem in your gang, you come to him and he will take care of it. And the most interesting part is the show 2020 actually went down a country road west side of Indiana police to talk to Strange. Strange actually knew ABC News was coming, but said he didn't want to be on the camera. Strange denies any involvement on Lauren's disappearance. He went on and said, "I had nothing to do with it. I don't even know the broad. I told you that. There ain't nobody here, and I ain't never seen the broad. Never been around her." As Garrett investigated further, he said that based on Lauren's cell phone's records, it was unlikely she had suspicions linked to Indiana police. Strange was less likely a suspect and more like someone with enemies trying to make trouble for him by implicating him in Lauren's disappearance. Alright, the next theory is the one I think is the most shocking one. Lauren's family received a tip that Garrett said might hold the best chance for an answer. It led to a young man by the name of Corey Hammersley, an inmate at an Indiana state prison. Corey Hammersley was once a star student and athlete in university. However, he got into deep trouble in the drug scene in Indiana University. After a year of Lauren's disappearance, Hammersley was so high on drugs, he stepped out of his apartment wearing nothing but a hat. He takes the firearms and starts shooting into a house. He also opened fire on police, which earned him 24 years prison sentence. While behind the bars, another inmate alleged he was playing cards with Hammersley, and Lauren's photo came out on the television mounted to the wall. Immediately, Corey looks up at the TV and says, "Man, I knew the guys that did that." That's what he said. The inmate said that Hammersley told him the story of how Lauren died at a house party with a group of unidentified students. The inmate said Hammersley told him that they were drinking and doing drugs, and she OD'd, and it scares them. They didn't know what to do with her, so they decided to tow her down to Ohio River and get rid of her. Dispose of her body. Garrett said that this is the theory that he takes to heart because he said that the idea is very simple. He said one of the mistakes in most criminal cases is that investigators trying to make them too complicated, and many times at the end of the day they end up being quite simple. So the simplest answer is she died at a party in Bloomington and somebody got rid of her. That's the most simplest case. Garrett then requested an interview with Hammersley. In a prison interview with Garrett and private investigator Bill Benjamin, Hammersley denied involvement. When asked if he helped move her body, he said, Absolutely not. Benjamin then asked Hammersley to contact them if he remembered anything useful, but Hammersley said he probably wouldn't do that. I do not want to be associated with this at all. That's what Hammersley said. There is, however, another theory independent from the police leads and the private investigator hired by Lauren's parent. Remember the sports bar that Lawrence and a friend visited right before her disappearance? Kilroy Sports Bar? Well, on 24th April 2015, a girl by the name of Hannah Wilson disappeared at the same Kilroy Sports Bar in Bloomington, Indiana. The same bar where Lawrence Spierer visited before her disappearance in 2011. Hannah Wilson was a 22-year-old senior at Indiana University, Bloomington at the time. She was majoring in international studies. She was described by friends and family as bright, outgoing, and passionate about her future. Hannah spent the evening out with friends at Kilroy Sports Bar. Witnesses last saw Hannah leaving the bar alone late at night. Around 1 a.m., reportedly heading home on foot, and she was heavily intoxicated as well. The following morning, Hannah's body was discovered in a vacant lot approximately 10 miles from Indiana University campus. However, in Hannah's case, the killer was found. A combination of forensic evidence found at the scene that ties a 49-year-old man from Bloomington by the name of Daniel Messel. Hannah's body was found brutally beaten to death in an isolated field in rural Brown County at 8:30 a.m. morning. Investigators found a Samsung Galaxy cell phone that did not belong to Hannah, and upon examination, the phone was traced back to Daniel Messel. Police then, learning he hadn't showed up for work, police went to his home, where Messel's father told police that his son hadn't returned from playing trivia at the local bar the night before, Kilroy Sports Bar. Police then obtained a search warrant and returned to Messel's home later that day, where they say they found Messel's carrying a plastic garbage bag that contained clothing. Alright, following the discovery of the phone, police obtained a search warrant for Messel's home and vehicles. After police searched for Messel's home and vehicle, the investigation revealed there are blood spatter on the driver's side of Messel's sports utility vehicle, clump of long black hair on the console of the vehicle. Also, they noticed Messel had claw marks on his arm, this suggesting a struggle sign. A plastic garbage bag containing clothing with blood evidence was found at his residence. It was later on confirmed via DNA test that the blood found in his car belonged to Hannah's blood. Daniel Messel had a long and violent criminal history prior to being convicted for the murder of Hannah Wilson in 2016. His records includes multiple arrests and conviction over the years for offences that show a clear pattern of aggressions, violence, and predatory behavior. Daniel Messel was then arrested on the same day they discovered Hannah's body and was charged with first-degree murder and was convicted in the same year, August 11th, 2016. He was sentenced to 80 years in prison. So the question is, did Daniel Messel have something to do with Lauren's disappearance? I mean, Lauren and Hannah both went to the same bar and were also highly intoxicated and also walking late at night. He could be the one that has something to do with it. So, where was Daniel Messel on June 3rd, 2011, the night Lauren Spierer vanished? Public records do not conclusively place him anywhere, and that's part of the problem. Because Lauren's case produced no body, no crime scene, and no physical evidence. But do consider this. Had Daniel Messel not dropped his phone near Hannah's body, would he have ever been caught? Possibly not, He could have returned to the shadows as he may have done before. Also, Messel's psychological profile matched that of a repeat offender. Many believe that predators doesn't just kill once. They evolve, they learn, they adapt. Lauren's disappearance has always felt like a crime of opportunity. A young woman, alone, intoxicated, walking barefoot through Bloomington in the early morning hours. That's precisely the type of moment someone like Messel will exploit. However, Messel was not publicly linked to Lauren's case during the initial investigation. There is no confirmed evidence, no DNA, no eyewitnesses, no digital trail that directly ties Daniel Messel to Lauren Spierer's disappearance. Messel for now is not a person of interest towards Lauren's case. In 2016, police received a tip and lead connecting the location to Lauren Spierer's disappearance. The property was linked to Justin Wager, a man with a criminal history involving stalking and public indecency, which raised suspicion. During the search, cadaverous dogs indicated potential evidence in barn on the property. Anthropologists conducted a dig from the barn, but no remains were found. Additionally, a white truck belonging to Wagers was towed from the property for examination. Despite these efforts, no conclusive evidence was discovered linking Wagers to Lauren Spierer's disappearance. Sadly to say, this was the last significant leads and search for Lauren's case. As of June 2025, the Bloomington Police Department continues to receive tips related to Lauren Spierer's disappearance. Since 2011, they have received over 36,000 tips, with approximately 1,100 categorized as actionable tips. However, no new search have been publicly reported in recent years. However, there's a recent significant development for Lauren's disappearance, which is the release of the book College Girl Missing: The True Story of How a Young Woman Disappeared in Plain Sight by investigative journalist Sean Cohen. This book was published last year on May 24, 2024. Cohen's research includes new witness testimonies and previously unreported details, offering a more comprehensive look at the case. The book also examines the inconsistencies in the accounts of individuals who were with Lawrence that night. Cohen's investigation reveals that Corey Rosman, one of the last people to see Lauren, made phone calls to a high school friend during the early morning hours when Lauren was in a highly intoxicated state. The book also explores the significance of these calls and the implication that they may have on understanding the events leading up to Lauren's disappearance. It's been over 14 years since Lauren Spierer vanished into early hours of that summer morning in Bloomington, and still, no trace of her has ever been found. It's a really sad story, you know? A young woman full of life, dreams, and promises, gone without a single answer. Her parents still hold out hope, not just for closure, but for the truth. Because someone out there, definitely one individual, know where's Lauren. If you know anything, any tips regarding to Lauren, no matter how small is the tips, you can submit your tips, your information at www.findlauren.com, or you can contact Bloomington Police Department or email Bloomington Police Department. You can also go to Facebook to search for Lauren Disappears official Facebook group. You can share your thoughts, probably share your tip there as well. I'll put all the links in the description. I just want to say, your information could be the missing piece of Lauren's disappearance. Your news, your tip, your leads truly means a lot to her family. For Lauren, for her family, for justice. I really appreciate whoever still watched this video until now. I really appreciate you. Thanks for the support. Please subscribe to my channel, as my goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers here. Thanks for watching today. I will see you in the next video.